Good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, December 9th, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Kim Mok-yeon. Before we get started, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. South Korea continues to see a resurgence in COVID-19 cases as the nation reported 686 cases on Wednesday, the highest number of daily infections since early March. Britain has become the first country in the Western world to begin a national immunization program against COVID-19. And U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Biegun will meet with South Korean officials in Seoul today for talks on bilateral and regional affairs. In light of that, the North Korean leader's sister, Kim Yo-jong, slammed South Korea's foreign minister over her recent remarks on the North's virus prevention measures. We begin with the COVID-19 situation here in South Korea. The country reported 686 new cases on Wednesday, peaking again at a high not seen since early March this year. Of the new cases, 662 were locally transmitted, most of which in the greater capital area. 24 cases were imported from overseas. The total number of cases is now over 39,000. 4 additional deaths have been reported, with a death toll at 556. After nearly a year of fighting the COVID-19 pandemic, Britain became the first country in the Western world on Tuesday to begin a national immunization program against the virus. Our Kim Hyo-sun has more on the remarkable day, which UK officials call V-Day.
Cheers filled Britain's hospitals on Tuesday as patients rolled up their sleeves to receive the West's first COVID-19 vaccines. On the day the country described as, quote, V-Day, the first shot happened early in the morning. The first recipient was a grandmother who turns 91 next week.
I thought it was a joke, to tell you the truth, to start with. I couldn't believe it, but I'm happy it's happened. And now I've done it, and hopefully it'll help other people to come along and do as I did, try and do the best to get rid of this terrible thing.
Medical professionals also welcome the program.
I'm feeling very emotional today. It is really quite remarkable. We, less than a year ago, were treating the first patient with COVID, and we are now able to give a vaccine. The team has been incredible.
The aim is to protect the most vulnerable in the UK and return life to normal as soon as possible. Britain plans to give the vaccine to senior citizens over the age of 80 and health and care staff. Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who contracted and recovered from a severe case of COVID-19, hailed the rollout, but stressed that this is not the end of the pandemic.
And so my message would be, it's amazing to see the vaccine coming out. It's amazing to see this tremendous shot in the arm for the entire nation, but we can't afford to relax now.
Britain plans to secure enough doses to immunize some 2 million people by year-end and is aiming to vaccinate 25 million people, or about 40% of the population going forward. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
The U.S. has confirmed that Pfizer's vaccine meets the standard for emergency use authorization in the country, saying it offers strong protection and does not raise any specific safety concerns. A report issued by the FDA on Tuesday confirmed that the vaccine made by Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech appears to be 95% effective at preventing COVID-19 infection. The reviewers found out that even after the first shot, people could be protected against severe illnesses, raising hope that vaccination will begin soon. The final decision will be made at a meeting on Thursday where the FDA's independent advisors will debate if the evidence is strong enough to recommend vaccination to Americans. U.S. President-elect Joe Biden has announced a team to lead his administration's response to COVID-19, pledging to deliver 100 million vaccine shots in his first 100 days in office. Lee Jonguns has the details.
A COVID-19 vaccine becomes U.S. President-elect Joe Biden's top priority when he takes office in January. Announcing his 3 goals for the first 3 months in the White House, Biden promised a mass vaccination for Americans.
At least 100 million COVID vaccine shots into the arms of the American people in the first 100 days. 100 million shots in the first 100 days.
Two other goals include opening schools and masking. A particular challenge will be getting unified support from Americans across the country, as President Trump has frequently downplayed the importance of mask wearing and even called it a political statement. He announced a COVID-19 response team who will be responsible for making sure the goals are met. Javier Becerra, the Democratic Attorney General for California, a long supporter of Obamacare, has been named to lead the country's health department. Infectious disease expert Dr. Rochelle Walensky will head the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Another top expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, a strong advocate of mask wearing, has been appointed as chief medical advisor on the pandemic. Biden also tapped the chair for his equity task force, who will help fight the disproportionate impact of the pandemic. The team pledges aggressive action to heal the ailing society and the economy. More than 280,000 Americans have died and millions have lost their jobs due to COVID-19. Jonguns, Arirang News.
U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Stephen Biegun is holding talks in Seoul with his South Korean counterparts on bilateral and regional affairs. Biegun is meeting Vice Foreign Minister Jonguns this morning and will meet Chief Nuclear Negotiator Lee Do-hun in the afternoon. Likely to be on the agenda is how to maintain stability between the two Koreas, as well as the handover of Peninsula affairs to a new administration. Biegun is also expected to meet with Seoul's Unification Minister Lee Myung on Thursday and Foreign Minister Kang Kyung-hwa on Friday. His visit is seen by watchers as a farewell trip before U.S. President-elect Joe Biden takes office in January. Kim Yo-jong, the sister of North Korean leader, has slammed South Korea's foreign minister for her recent comments on the regime's anti-COVID measures, saying she will, quote, pay dearly for her words. In a statement released by the North's state-run news agency on Wednesday, Kim also warned that already icy inter-Korean relations could even get worse. Last week, Seoul's top diplomat Kang Kyung-hwa told a forum in Bahrain that the North has been unresponsive to the South's requests for cross-border cooperation on COVID-19. Kang also said the North's claim that it has had no COVID-19 cases should raise eyebrows. The United States has imposed new sanctions on 6 groups and 4 vessels linked to the transportation of North Korean coal. Our Lee Seung-jae has the story.
In a recent interview with the online magazine 1945, U.S. National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien said Beijing has been very lax on the transfer of coal and other commodities out of North Korea, calling on China to faithfully enforce North Korea's sanctions. And on Tuesday, the U.S. Treasury Department imposed new sanctions on 6 companies, including several based in China, as well as 4 ships accused of the illegal export of North Korean coal. The 6 new entities include the London-based Chinese firm Always Smooth and the China-based Weihai Huijiang Trade. It also blacklisted 4 ships, Calm Bridge, Asia Bridge, Lucky Star, and Star 18, which are accused of loading coal directly from North Korean ports and transporting their cargo throughout the region. U.S. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin said North Korea continues to circumvent the UN prohibition on the exportation of coal, a key revenue generator that helps fund its weapons of mass destruction programs. He added the North often uses forced labor from prison camps in its mining industries, including coal, to exploit its own people to advance such illicit weapon programs. In 2017, the UN Security Council banned North Korean coal exports. The 15-member body has been upping sanctions on the regime since 2006 in a move to cut off funding for Pyongyang's nuclear and ballistic missile programs. However, an annual report to the UN Security Council by independent sanctions monitors this year noted that the North continues to flout UN's resolutions through illicit maritime exports of commodities, notably coal and sand, in 2019, allowing for hundreds of millions of dollars to flow into the regime. The sanctions freeze any U.S. assets of the entities involved and bars Americans from doing business with them. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
South Korea's Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism, along with the Yonsei Institute for North Korean Studies, will co-host an international symposium to discuss ways to build sustainable peace on the Korean Peninsula. Special guests include Professor Robert Gallucci from Georgetown University and Harry Kazianis, a senior director of Korean Studies at the Center for the International Interest. There will also be a series of talks on the future of Seoul-Washington ties and peace on the peninsula during the 5 sessions scheduled for Thursday. The first session will be hosted by Arirang News anchor Moon Gan-young. It will be streamed live via ispk.co.kr from 9 a.m. Korea time. Amid surging COVID-19 cases in South Korea and with social distancing level in 2.5 in place in the capital area, companies are taking stronger measures in a bid to curb the spread of the virus. Companies including Samsung Electronics are also doing their bit by arranging for more staff to work from home. Our Choi Min-jung reports.
While the South Korean government imposed the second highest social distancing measure in the capital area amid a continued surge of COVID-19 cases, large businesses are also taking action to curb the virus. Following the introduction of level 2.5 distancing, which began on Tuesday, Samsung Electronics has decided to implement a rotational remote working system from Wednesday. According to Samsung Electronics, 30% of the employees in the departments of home appliances and the mobile business sector will work in rotation, with some working remotely from home. This equals some 10% of its total number of employees. The company is also taking applications from people interested in working from home, potentially doubling the number of remote workers. The tightened steps come following a government advisory for businesses to have over a third of the employees working from home.
We strongly advise office workers to work from home, schools to expand remote classes, institutions and academies to prohibit gatherings, and residents of the capital area to refrain from visiting other areas.
Other large corporations are also maintaining their own work-at-home guidelines. 50% of the workers from the Hyundai Motor Group are to work at home, while employees in the company are obligated to wear masks at all times. Meanwhile, LG Group has increased its number of employees working remotely to 70% starting at the end of last month. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
Good morning. It certainly was colder earlier. In fact, mountainous and inland regions had a fierce cold snap with lows hovering or even below minus 10 degrees Celsius this morning. But the cold will ease with afternoon temperatures returning to seasonal norms. Clouds will roll in as the day goes on, then many regions will see the season's first snow overnight. Northern parts of Gyeonggi-do province could see up to 3 centimeters of snowfall. Seoul and the central regions could also receive flurries. Meanwhile, a dry weather advisory has been in place along the East Coast for days now. 13 consecutive days for Busan, so be careful with anything that could start a fire. So daily highs will be 2 to 3 degrees higher today. Daejeon getting up to 8 degrees. Gyeongju topping out at 11 degrees this afternoon. We'll experience a gradual warming up for the remainder of the week. Then, teeth-chattering temperatures are in store for early next week, with lows nearing minus 10 degrees here in the capital. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that's a wrap for us at the hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with more of the day's headlines at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.